Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Live, or Zen Fits, or Metaphors in Your Toolbox. I have my Waffle House coffee cup, and I'm fired up and ready to go. And the metaphor we're going to put in our toolbox this morning is the sword of mystery. But first, let's read our Tolle quote. Just a reminder, if you didn't see yesterday's talk, the metaphor for your toolbox was ride the bike of life, or with the bicycle, and learning how to balance is the metaphor. And today it's the sword of mystery. So first, let's read our Kickstarter, a Tolle quote from The Power of Now. Through allowing, you become what you are, vast and spacious. You become whole. You're not a fragment anymore, which is how the ego perceives itself. Your true nature emerges, which is one with the nature of God. Let's pull this cotton ball apart. First of all, I was reading, in my reading this morning, I ran across this, the sword of mystery. And in all of mythology, fairy tales, in warfare, in officers, they all carry swords. And sword fighting was an art. Now it's a sport. But used to be, a man had a sword. And this was my father's sword. It was given to him when he graduated from Annapolis. And the officer's sword has gold on it. See? Because the military officer is a metaphor for the Son of God. And God is the solar king. And solar is gold. So liquid sun drips down on the Son of God, and it falls upon the brim of his hat, and it falls upon the handle of his sword, you see, and it touches his buttons, and it falls on his shoulders. He's the Son of the golden God, you see, the Son of God. And there's only one Son of God. That's why God, Jesus is the Son of God. Well, there's only one. There's not many Jesuses running around. But here's where the metaphor comes in. The metaphor is one in the many. So the military officer, as the Son of God, where gold drips off his sword handle, you see, is the one Son of God. Yet there are many military officers. They come and go. But the metaphor, the Son of God, is the one that stays the same. This is very important to get a handle on. When the Son of God, you see, is a metaphor, which means there is only one Son of God, but it has many faces. Just as the military officer is the Son of God, metaphorically, there are many military officers. But this rang, my father told me, and I've said this before, that when the top ranking military office on a Navy ship goes into a foreign port, that officer is the Son of God. That officer is in the sense that on an earthly plane, that officer is the emissary of the president. So that officer is the president, is the emissary of the President of the United States. And the President is the Son of America. The one president. We don't have two presidents. We have one president. And as a metaphor, one king dies, another one comes in. The king is dead, long live the king. So this oneness, you see, you have to get a handle on this. You have to get a handle on this idea of oneness. There is the oneness, and that is many, yet it is still one. This is metaphorical thinking. This is ambiguity. This requires the logic of ambiguity. Science and classical logic doesn't work here. So anyway, this was my father's sword, and since I'm a junior, there it is. There's my name, Edwin Gus Conley. So this was good. But you see, my father never gave me this sword. He always told me, grasshopper, you're not ready. He didn't use grasshopper. He said, you haven't earned that yet. He wasn't talking about the sword, but I knew what he was talking about. The sword of mystery. I had not earned the sword of mystery. So my whole life has been trying to understand and earn, trying to figure out what it is, trying to grasp it, trying to take the sword, the flashing sword of mystery, you see, trying to own it, trying to become it, trying to be worthy of it, you see. And that is all of our quest, you see. I mean, this is a universal quest. All the mythology, King Arthur, the sword of mystery is struck in a rock, and who can pull it out? You see, whoever can pull it out is the one. Whoever can pull it out is the one, you see. Even the presidential election, whoever can pull it out, whoever can defeat all the contenders is the one, you see. Get the idea? And then look at Star Wars. What is Star Wars about? Well, there are two important mythological ingredients to Star Wars. One of them is the Force, and the other one is the Light Sabre. The Light Sabre. The sword of mystery. The flashing sword of light, you see. And again, with martial arts and Zen, the sword fighting is very, very important. In the samurai, samurai pulls his sword out. It's flashing. Your head's gone. Your head's gone so fast you don't even know it's gone. So, let's take a look at the sword of mystery. And we'll start with, and we'll try and connect this up now with Tolle. Through allowing, you become what you are. All right, so through allowing, you can wield the sword of mystery. Now, in Star Wars, you had the lightsaber, the Force. In Japan, this Force is called Ki. It's the center of gravity. It's the center. It has many different names. In Buddhism, it's called Dharma. The closest thing to it in Christianity and the Bible would be the Word, because the Word is active. It's not something static. The Word flashes like lightning. And God is described that way. So, through allowing, you become you hold the sword of mystery. You become whole. You're not a fragment anymore, which is how the ego perceives itself. Now, what does it feel like to be a fragment? Okay, well, let's reflect this. I had back in 1968, I had a crash awakening, so to speak. In other words, I just went to sleep and woke up, and I was in a different. I was in the Force. I was a Jedi Knight, to speak metaphorically. And suddenly, whatever I did was everything I did was spontaneous. I was quick as light. I could ride my motorcycle like Evel Knievel. I could dance. I could do anything. Sit in yoga. I didn't know what yoga was. I could sit in a lotus posture, stand on my head. I knew who I was. I looked in the mirror and it says, "Aha, you're here. I see you." It was a startling, astonishing experience. Lasted a week or so. But I was not a fragment anymore. And I was empty. Be empty of the goals, plans, and methods. So I felt I was, when you are using the sword of mystery, Tolle calls it being in the now. When you're in the now, intention and spontaneity are one. You have intention because you're not just babbling somewhere off, blah, 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 impulsiveness, thoughtless impulsiveness, No, no, no. You are very focused and intentional, but you're spontaneous. Like the Marx Brothers. You watch a Marx Brother comedy, and they're spontaneous. There was one thing I saw on YouTube where the two of them were playing a duet on the piano, and they were just playing the thing like there was no thinking there. They were playing the piano, so there was the intention to play the piano, but they were doing it spontaneously. They had the sword of mystery. The force was playing that piano. The key was playing the piano. God was playing that piano. And all art is like that. You see an artist who has trained, or an athlete, a basketball player, they train, practice. But at some point they drop the practice, they drop the goal, they drop the plan, the method. And they become one with the moment. They become with what they're doing. And spontaneously. But yet there's intention. I want to win the ball game. I want to play this song. I want to teach this talk, you see. So, and that was my experience when I had this sudden and astonishing awakening, is that there was no method. There was no plan. And there was no hesitation or interval between one movement and another. If you watch a movie film, 16 millimeter, it's made up of little frames. And if you run it real slow, you can see the space between each frame. And it's kind of jerky. Speed it up, and it flows, so you can't see the space, you see. Now, ego life, you are not fragmented anymore, which is how the ego perceives itself. The ego perceives itself in self-reflection. Am I doing this right? Are they going to laugh at me? Am I going to make a fool? Oh my God, I forgot something. Oh shit, what was it? Let me get my notes. Oh yeah, I got my cheat notes here. Got my lesson plan. Everything, I'm in control. You see, I got it under control. I got a plan. I got a method. I'm obedient to the method. I'm obedient to the law. I'm obedient to the past. I'm obedient to my plan to control the future. But when you have the sword of mystery, when intention and spontaneity become one, all the lights are green. Everything's in harmony. Everything's working because you are working in harmony with the universe. So the universe is the marriage of intention and spontaneity. See, we get into all kinds of problems here because the universe has I got to have a plan. I mean, what's God's plan? It's got a plan, you see. And I got to follow the plan. Whatever, read the Bible, you can find out what the plan is. You read the Bible, find out what the purpose is, you see. Now, this is one way to look at it. Nothing wrong with that. But is the universe, first of all, is God separate from the universe? That's part of the problem. Is God an outsider of the universe he created? Well, that's what the story is. But then he's kind of like the ultimate outsider. God is so outside of everything, he's disconnected. Where is God? Well, he'll show up. But like God in this story, that God is the watchmaker who created the watch and then wound it up and let it go. And maybe he comes in and corrects the time every now and then. Oh, it's a little 5 minutes off. I'll fix that. Sorry about that. You wanted to catch that. You wanted to win that game, and I got a bunch of prayers here. Okay, I'll fix you'll change that a little bit. You see, so it's kind of like that. You see, so you ask the watchmaker to interfere and fix the watch to suit your time. You see, all right. That's one way of looking at it. But the other way is that God is the watchmaker, and the watch is spontaneously. The watch is creating time. The universe is creating time. And this is what cosmology Modern cosmology is saying the universe is expanding. Now, what does it expand? And there's no center to the universe. Every single dot is the center of the universe. And this used to be the definition of God, the center that has no circumference, the center that has no point, you see. So it's everything is the center of the universe, and the universe is expanding. It's hard to get your hand around it. But what that means is that the universe is creating space and time. It's not expanding into space and time, like that already exists. Then the universe is expanding into it, like you blow up a balloon, and the balloon in the room is expanding into the room. So the room already exists, you see, and then the universe is expanding into it. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying is that the universe is the room, and the room is expanding. And as it expands, it creates space and time. So this is intentional and spontaneity. Creativity is spontaneous. That's what creativity means. It's not planned. And we all know this. I mean, we have these moments where you do something spontaneous, bam, whoa. And you say, whoa, where did that come from? We have moments like this all the time. Intentional spontaneity will intervene into your life when you need it. Most particularly when death threatens. So I was driving along the road, at night, wife sitting there, cars coming, and suddenly we're on a little curve, and suddenly the car doesn't turn on his curve. He keeps going right at me, and suddenly, right there, 10 feet away, two big headlights right in front of me. Boom! So the car, suddenly, there was no time to think. There was no thinking, oh shit, there's a car, what should I do? There was no time. So I just intentionally, spontaneously drove with my car in the grass and gravel, the other car in my lane, and I was doing 60 miles an hour. And then I'm back in my lane, and the car goes by, and it goes by like a bull, like that, you see. And I'm back. And then thinking comes back, and it says, whoa, what the hell was that? So that little space took about 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, right? There was intentional spontaneity. Intentional spontaneity intervened and saved my butt, you see. The thinking mind didn't do it. The ego didn't do it. So we have these moments all the time. Maybe you fall down. And so I did this. I was out by the pond, and I caught my heel, and I stepped back, and I fell back like that, right into the rocks that were the border of the pond. And like a cat, I turned in my fall and landed and caught myself, so I didn't hit my head on the rock and fall into the pond and drown. So who turned me? Who turned? My body turned in the fall. So it landed correctly. Intentional spontaneity. So this intentional spontaneity, this sort of mystery, is always present. It's right hanging on your belt because you are the Son of God. And it's your sword. But we look around in our ego, can't see it. I got to have a plan to get to it. I got to get some method. I got to meditate more. I got to do yoga and all this stuff. I got to go to church and pray more, you see, because I got to earn the sword of God. I got to earn the sword of mystery. You see. So that's the ego, because the ego lives and functions in time. The ego does not create time. The ego does not expand and create its life. The ego lives in time as created by time, and it's fragmented into time like the movie film is fragmented into little squares, you see. But the ego runs life so fast you can't see the breaks in it. But there are moments, there are times, particularly in sports and art, where we wield the flashing sword of mystery. And the other thing is, too, so Krishnamurti, he was one of my gurus. In fact, I was listening to Krishnamurti on a tape in 1968 when I went to sleep, and I woke up. I was in the Force. I was a Jedi Knight, and I had the Light Sabre. And I started teaching class. I was an English teacher, and I threw the textbook, textbook in the trash. I threw the lesson plans. I threw myself in the trash. And I just began to speak and teach spontaneously, like I'm doing now. So, this idea of intention and spontaneity are one. The problem we have in becoming intentional spontaneity is that both are transcendent of thinking or consciousness. Both are transcendent of... Now, transcendent, this is a word that really gets us screwed up, you see. So where is transcendent? Well, transcendent was something is there. No, it doesn't mean something is there that I can't see, that's other than me. It's like some space or something that is transcendent of now, is that it exists there. That, it doesn't mean that. It can, but not in the way we're talking about it here. So if I say transcendent of consciousness, and consciousness is experience, you have to look at it like a surfer looks at the wave, or a mountain biker looks at the bike, which is what we were talking about yesterday. So, balance. When you're in balance on a bike or a surfboard, you are intentional spontaneity. Your intention is to ride the surfboard, but you do it spontaneously because the wave is spontaneous. The wave is spontaneously creating itself. So you have to ride spontaneity, which means you have to be spontaneous. But at the same time, you have to have an intention. You see? Or riding a mountain bike. So the mountain bike is like a wave. It's constantly spontaneously changing. The terrain is spontaneously changing very, very rapidly. So you're going to ride that thing on a bike, which is like a surfboard. So you have to become intentional spontaneity to balance on spontaneity. So you see, now here's the point. The balance point that you are balancing on is transcendent of where you're at. The balancing point is upstream of the moment in time. The balance point is not in time. It's upstream of time, you see. Right now is time, and I'm this, but the wave is changing spontaneously. So I got to balance, but I can't balance on what is now because that's already past. I wipe out. That's when I lose my balance. It's when I try to balance on the now, and I'm not balancing upstream of the now, which is just one frame, one instant ahead of where I'm at, you see, because the balance, the unity, is always coming. So I'm always balancing ahead of where I am. And this is the flashing sword of a mystery. The martial arts guy, the Marx Brother comedian, the Marx Brothers, or the karate, the martial arts guy, or the Zen calligrapher, they do the Zen calligraphy, and all of the Zen arts is done in one stroke. See, it's got one stroke art. You don't break it up into little pieces. It's just all one stroke. Artists do this. You'd look at a cartoon artist who's doing a caricature. They just look at you, and their hand just goes little, 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 little doop, and it's all there, one stroke. How do you do that? See, where is their balance? You see. Or a musician, or I have a friend who can hear a song and he just starts playing it. Spontaneous reproduction of music or creation of music. Just sit down on the piano and just start making stuff. Spontaneous intention. The intention is to sit down and make something, but it happens spontaneously. It happens spontaneously when you let go of the goals, the plans, and the method, and time, and the ego, because the ego functions in goals, plans, and methods. And we need that. I mean, you got to plan to go to Walmart and buy something. You got to plan a business, and you got to do all that. But the conception of the idea for the business comes from intentional spontaneity, you see. The creative idea comes from here. The creative idea is the flashing sword of mystery. And then your planning comes in. Okay, now I got this flashing sword, and I got a creative idea. Now I got to get some logic in here, and we kind of like map it out, you see. And we make the clock. We make the plan, wind it up, put it go, and I'll make a lot of money, and it just comes in. You see. But the idea for that does not come from the clock. The clock, the intention to make the clock, is the spontaneous intention of the universe, and the intention and spontaneity of the universe is you, because you're the universe. I'm the universe, you're the universe. Just like in the computer, every computer is the center of the internet. You are the center of the universe. You are the Son of God, and this is your sword. You've already earned it. You don't have to go. I had to go find it. My father died, and I didn't know where the sword was. And so when my mother died, I was looking for it. My sister and I were going through the house, couldn't find it. I said, where is that sword? I wanted that sword all my life. And he never would give it to me. Oh, not yet, Charlie. You're not ready for the tuna factory. So we were looking in a trunk, and there it was, buried under a quilt in the bottom of the trunk. But still, I hadn't earned the sword. When you earn the sword, it appears in your hand. Nobody gives it to you. When you become the sword, it suddenly appears. You don't earn it, you see. There's no way to get the sword. There's no method to get the sword. There's no plan to get the sword. Krishnamurti says truth is pathless. The sword of mystery is pathless. You get the sword of mystery when you empty and let go of the egoic planning to get the sword. So you'll be the Son of God. You're already the Son of God. Why you can't so any effort to be the Son of God, to be the one, to have the sword of mystery, the creativity of life, the need to have the creativity, the creative sword of life, you see, assumes that you are not already the creative sword of life. So naturally, the universe is going to give you what you believe you are, what you affirm. So if you affirm yourself to not be the Son of God, if you affirm that, and you affirm it by wanting to become the Son of God, well, then you're actually affirming that you're not the Son of God. And that's an illusion, because you already are the Son of God. You already are the one. You already are the center of the universe. Everything is the center of the universe, you see. So you are expanding universe. You are creating the world you live in. You are creating time and space. But at the same time, we live in time and space. So we are basically the creator of time and space and the created of time and space. But it is time and space and the world we see that is the ground upon which we create a new world or a new idea or a new relationship with the sword of mystery. I hope, okay, well, thank you for dropping in. And, that was the sword of mystery. And I hope you see this talk as an example of the sword of mystery. Okay? Because this is my art. This is where I exercise, I flash the sword of mystery, and in my writing. And we all, this is what we all have an art. We all have a place where we train and we work at to be improved. We all have a craft or an art or something that we do where we work to be better at it, where we work to cooking, anything, raising a child, anything that we train at, that we work at, in order to fall into that spontaneous, intentional spontaneity, where suddenly everything works. You see, Seinfeld was always, George Costanza was always talking about that. This is what he longed for. He longed for that moment, my moment, when all the lights are green, when all the parking places are mine, when everything is working. You see, that was George Costanza's longing. And he would have brief moments of it when he said, oh man, we got a parking place right in front of the office, right in front of the hospital. But then the Seinfeld answer to that was, somebody committed suicide and jumped out of the window and fell on his car. You see. But, oh, sorry, Charlie, you're not ready. You see, so this intentional spontaneity is the philosopher's stone, is zero, where everything is in balance. Me and the world, the whole catastrophe, the whole full Monty, we're all in balance. And those moments happen every now and then, and we always say, thank you, Jesus. You see, or whenever we have synchronicity, somebody comes in and I was just thinking about, oh, thank you, Jesus. You know, the idea is that at that moment, the world and my little world and the larger world kind of like had a little kiss. Synchronicity is a little kiss where the world kisses me and I kiss the world. But we can't hold the kiss, you see. It's always just for a brief moment, and then we're back into the ego, living in a fragmented world of time, trying to get out of it by some method. And so goes human history and our lives, you see. So, anyway, thank you for dropping in this morning. And I'll see you this evening when we have a martini together.